Hi, welcome to Hats and Helmets with your host, Brendan Wayne. That's me. This is where we find out that everything has a story. I'd like to take a moment before we get started to highlight an incredible foundation. This foundation was created out of a moment of great loss. This young man with his foundation was created from Spencer, battled cancer, and he did it with such a hero's energy and with love and hope and commitment that we can all admire. Now, his family, in this great moment of loss, found a way to continue his legacy, his style, through the This Is the Way Foundation. And they raised money to help pay for the education of those doctors and researchers who are attempting to eradicate cancer. It is such an honor to have met the family that created this incredible foundation. And I just want to start to do right by things that matter in our world, things that we want in our lives. And that is good. And This Is the Way Foundation is a great example of something that we can do to make a greater good difference. Thank you for your time. Go there, hit the link, donate. This is the way. Welcome to Brendan's Bookshelf. This episode, I'll be talking about The Hero with a Thousand Faces. It's an incredible book that allowed me as an actor to see the arc of characters that I was going to walk into, whether it's the lead or not. Everybody has an arc, and what this allowed me to do was understand that arc in a very easy, accessible way. It's highly intelligent, but very approachable. I recommend this book 10 out of 10. It's something that George Lucas had read and was influenced by, and many other creators, from directors to producers to actors and designers. It's pretty universal in its love of mythology. He brings up the point that the monomyth is what drives all heroes' journeys, and they each have phases, and we follow along and learn from those things, so that when I read a script, I can see that arc and that journey and understand which phase I'm in. I also was fortunate enough to go to the Lucas Museum, and while in the gift shop, I picked up one of my favorites, On the Hero's Journey, which is a really cool way to kind of jump in and rediscover what you've read in this and many of Joseph's other books. I recommend as well. This is my highlight today. I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you enjoy understanding the heroes that we see and read about through his writing. Thank you. Today's guest is an actor who you've seen in a million different roles, specifically Preacher, Alcatraz, and most importantly to me, Mandalorian and Grogu, where he plays a villain and is done with such great style. I had to sit and admire him on set. He's a self-described Cypriot boy raised in England, taught the good acting skills right there in London, and has done nothing but succeed because he is so talented. So for me, it was obvious. I wanted to jump right in with Jonny Coyne and find out how he got here. Here I am with the legend, the myth, and when the myth becomes legend, print that. It's Jonny Coyne. He is a Cyprus-born, English-raised thespian who you've seen in so many things. It really is cool. I know. You're humble. You've got that down. It's beautiful. But honestly, it is one of the. I look at your resume and I just keep going, oh yeah. I forgot Preacher. I mean, that was one of my. It's a great comic that I'm a huge fan of. Like you've been in huge temples, Tomb Raider. Like it's this constant thing. Anyways, so before we get down that road, Let's start where you're from Cyprus.
That's right. I was born in that little country in the armpits of the Mediterranean, very close to Syria and Turkey. Not so close to Greece, which is our main language. But yes, I was born right there, this beautiful little island, which I visit once or twice a year. And yeah, I mean, born to rather, you know, poor, uneducated, but kind and very good people
Yeah.
who wanted nothing more for their children but to have a a good life.
Yeah.
And by that I mean work hard, study hard, get a job. Nothing was expected of me apart from, you've done the education. Now go and get a job. It was that sort of a world that I came from. They were unaspirational, really, as people. All they wanted was to get the shopping in, get the
Mhm.
groceries in, enough to feed three children,
Yep.
and pay the mortgage.
But see, so we say that phrase, and I hear it in different forms. The unaspirational, that kind of thing, meaning they're not looking for fame and fortune at this point.
Not
As
even
we
looking
know
for
them.
career. They're not even looking for career. They don't even think of the word career.
No, but they're looking for something that is. I mean, as a parent, I can tell you right now, um, those ideas when you're single and free, of I want this golden tiered, headboard and diamond chandeliers. Uh,
Well, I've got all that.
yes, of course. I mean,
Got all that.
yes, but we when you become a parent, I want five fingers on each hand, five toes on each foot, and I want to make sure they're eating and they have a chance. Now, I obviously my parents, my mom, father was born in the 20s. My mom was born in the
Ah,
early 30s. I'm the last of eight. We grew up with a similar generational
yeah,
feel.
yeah.
Um, my father's immigrant from Sicily and southern Italy, so that what the armpit, very much so for them. I know that.
I meant literally, if you like, the geographical armpit, not the proverbial armpit.
Yes, not the pejorative.
The geographical. It's really right there. It's right there in the Mediterranean.
Yeah, we were the toe that stepped in shit. That's what everyone used to say from the north of Italy. Now I have a question. Why are you speaking Greek if you're not Greek centric? Like central to Greek? Is it just because of domination of the world at the one point?
My history of Cyprus is a bit limited, but
Oh,
it has been populated by the Ottomans.
yes.
It has been populated and conquered by the Venetians.
Oh yeah.
There is a moat that wraps around the whole of Nicosia,
Oh
uh, and it's a dry moat, obviously now because it's just dry, but it's beautiful. It's beautifully tree lined and everything. But it was built by the Venetians as a fort.
wow.
Here, and it has these gates, which are sort of triangular gates like that, and each of the sort of corners, if you like, and so it's been conquered by everybody, and it was taken by the English, and the Cypriots fought for their independence in the 50s and 60s.
Oh
So
wow.
to the extent that when I went over to England in the early 60s,
Yeah.
the Cypriots were not we
Not
were
well received.
suspicious. Yeah, we thought of as possible terrorists,
Yep.
definitely. But the Greek Cypriots rather are very entrepreneurial.
Yeah.
They get on with the people. They get on with everybody, and they make their lives where they are.
Yeah.
And so, yeah,
So have you ever been to Sicily?
I've never been to Sicily.
So your description fits Sicilian, just the history of being a central port city that would be good for military. So it's a constant place where we had the Ottomans, we had the Greeks, we had the obviously the Romans, um, the Spanish, the who's the
Moors,
Muslims,
Moors as well, didn't you?
yeah,
At
the
some
Moors. Thank you. That's what I was thinking. And so, we had that thing. And the one thing, like when I read about, my heritage or whatever, I think of, oh my God, they're so good at adapting.
Yeah,
It's a constant ability. So when my grandparents and parent came here, uh, there was, we were the new uh, soil to stand on. So the Irish now had someone to stand on because they'd come over during the potato famine and
yeah.
the big voyage. And so then all of a sudden, and so the Italians were hated. They were, whatever. So it's interesting. I find that really fascinating because um, that kind of immigrant story usually leads to fabric that the country is built on. You watch and see how the Cypriots are built out in England. They've become a vital part of the structure. So it's just an interesting thing. So you've come from okay. So you come to England. You're studying. You're in school. Do you immediately go to a
No,
thespian like background?
not at all. No, no. Like I said, I mean, um, y- at school, being the immigrant boy, and I never thought of myself as immigrant, but I
No.
kind of always thought of myself as a new boy.
Yeah.
I mean, as children, we don't think we're immigrants. We just think nobody knows us,
Yeah.
whatever. You're new at school, and you pick up the language and you pick up everything very quickly. And the way to sort of make friends quickly and to sort of make sure that nobody bullies you or anything like that
Yeah.
is you're the funny guy. And
Yes.
if you're the funny guy, always sort of pulling faces, always trying to make people laugh, you kind of get into that vein of behavior. And it's a skill set that you don't think you're going to put to any use whatsoever. I never thought that I would ever become an actor until um, I don't know. I was watching this show in England called Junior Showtime. It was a sort of like a 5 o'clock thing where a presenter will present these kids from all around the country, and they would be tap dancing and singing and
Yeah.
dancing and doing all sorts of things. And I found myself very envious, although I never thought of it in any way that I would be sort of part of that. I found myself being very envious of these kids, but I never thought anything more than that, really.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it wasn't until I got to a point. I did a show for my mentor. I think I've mentioned him at some of those conventions. A guy called Robert Tanich, who is my English teacher, and who is he's 94
He's
now.
still alive and kicking.
He's still alive and kicking, not kicking so hard, I don't think quite now. But I spoke to him a couple of weeks ago, and he sounded a little bit frail, bless him. But he's 94, still goes to the theatre at least once a week,
Wow.
and he saw something in me, and he put me in a school show, and it got incredible reviews in the national press. A school show got a
Wow.
national press review. Yeah, yeah, and on the same page that Albert Finney was being criticised by the Daily Telegraph for his Hamlet, I was being lauded for my Phaeton.
Oh my.
Yeah, I mean, they were just being kind to a kid. Let's be honest. They're being kind to a kid.
On
Uh,
national? No, no, nobody's been kind to somebody on national. That's a crock of shit. You're being
yeah,
humble.
but what I'm saying is like they didn't. There's no need to be harsh. They can be harsh to Albert Finney. A lot of
Sure,
it's
then there's no need to write the article. They wrote the article because your performance did something. So good.
yeah.
Don't
And
piss on it.
I got singled out for it, and because I was playing Phaeton in Chariot of the Sun,
Yeah.
and yeah, and I think I kind of wanted to get into it at that point, and then my mentor Robert said to me, "Listen, I knew this would happen, but come back to me in 3 years' time if you're still interested. We'll have a go then. But right now, I just think you're running on this sort of like excitement of it all. So let's come back to it in 3 years' time. If you're still interested, I'll get you. I'll teach you how to get to an audition." And sure enough, he did 3 years later.
No, okay. So what does that mean? So audition like to go to theater and you're gonna walk the boards and be a true,
No,
not true. I take
so
that.
we should go to the drama schools.
Okay. Now, where did you go? The
Went
academy?
to- I went to RAD. I went to the Royal Academy of Dramatic Art. That was the one I got into. I got into two or three of them, I think. There's a couple I didn't get into. And I just chose RAD because it was the most famous one. It was the one that had the most prestige. And, I kind of, well, you kind of want a little bit of prestige in your life.
Yes, especially in this business.
Yeah.
Now in England, because I'm not uh, as familiar. Uh, here you can go jump in an acting class, on the corner,
Yeah.
like next to the Taekwondo studio, or like in England they have a much a clearer path. It seems like, but it's driven towards um, plays, towards theater. Thank you. Um, as opposed to TV, or is that not the case?
Definitely my course. Very little TV work. In fact, no, we weren't really. There was one little class where they chose like 5 or 6 actors who would work with BBC trainees,
Oh wow.
and it was basically BBC training up their directors, and they just chose 5 or 6 actors to do rather sort of little kitchen sink dramas,
Sure.
uh, which for them to shoot, and it was just training ground for them rather than us. But that was the only class, as it were, that we had for film. We were sort of drilled into us was theatre,
Yeah.
and I was very happy to do that.
Yeah.
Very happy to do the theatre. Very happy to sort of do as many shows as possible. For me, it was all about volume, getting as much done as possible. Because I started from zero. I had
Yeah.
no knowledge. I didn't, I mean, Robert said to me, listen, you can't just go to theatre and start acting. You've got to sort of get yourself, you've got to get an education in theatre. So he encouraged me to come to as many plays as possible, which, I found on the whole, I kind of didn't like watching as much as I like doing it.
Yeah. 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 Because
Uh, yeah, go on.
no, because you learn right from
Yeah, yeah,
hearing in so many ways, and I know there's probably much better actors than me that are like, oh, I can watch and learn, whatever. Like I can emulate, but I need to do. My mom, funny enough, had the same uh, perspective as your mentor. Because when I said I wanted to do this, I was 26, and then she was like, "Oh, okay, then you're gonna go to school and learn." And I was like, "No, I'm gonna go to a class." And she was like, "No." And her thing was, "You're John Wayne's grandson, so you better figure you've got to be at a certain level, or you really will disappoint people. You're already not going to be what they want." And not in a mean way. She was just saying you're going to get more no's than you are yeses, but you're going to learn. And I was like, "What?" And so I went to American Academy of Dramatic Arts, and I had no intention of ever walking onto a stage in theater. I was like, "Give me a camera." I was like, "Granddaddy didn't do this." She goes, "Really?
yeah.
You're an idiot." She's like, "Hollywood tells the stories that they want you to hear." And this was back in the day before we talked about all whatever we talk about now. But like, she was like, he was in a acting class while he was shooting Stagecoach, Searchers. He always had a class. He was always, and like nobody talks about it because they like the idea that Jane Russell was found at a soda jerk, and they were like, "Hey, you're going to be a movie star, lady." Mind you,
Yeah,
now you say that, maybe we ought to talk about the grooming behind that. But you
yeah, yeah.
know, it's those lovely Hollywood stories. But the reality was, she was like, "Go do this." So I fell in love with theater. I was like, "This is amazing." My wife and I, who I met in school, I learned to fence and dance and act. I got foundationally from the acting part. But I was, man alive. I was like never gonna go step on a stage. And now, you know, up until I really started working on Mando, my wife and I would produce our own play, put it on
Wow.
Fringe Fest every year. We'd always do one, and our poor kids, they're probably so happy we don't do that all the time anymore. They would be they'd be on stage with us. Oh my God! But yeah, so you're in that, and you're doing 8 shows a week when you
Yeah. No, you mean once we're at the theatre, at the
yeah
theatre school?
once you're working. It's
At Farder, you're doing lots and lots of classes. There's always a production to be done. So in the from the second semester, you work on a production, Each production is each semester is 10 weeks or so. So
Mhm.
for the first 5 weeks, you rehearse one show while doing all the other classes,
Yeah.
and then you perform it for 4 or 5 nights. And same again for the second half of the semester. So you got those productions under you. So you got at least, and the whole course was 7 semesters, and the last 2 semesters were run as in a repertory kind of a way.
Oh yeah.
Uh, there was 7 shows in each of those terms, so semesters, and you'll be the leading one, playing an average, a medium-sized part in that one, and walking on 2 or 3 of them.
Yeah. And then you do stage
Management?
managing
No. Uh,
while
we, well, no, we don't. We had stage managers do that.
oh
There's a whole class for stage managers as well. So we were, it was about acting, about theatre, and having all aspects of the performance. So you get to, you know, be disgruntled because you only got 2 lines to say in
yeah.
something, but then you've got your lead coming up later on in the season.
But so people don't talk about so you have you pop in 2 scenes in a play that's let's say an hour and a half. Okay, people don't talk about the work that it takes to be able to prepare before you walk on, sustain during, and that thing, because there is such a huge drop off between, like, if I'm engaged, like, it's so what I know I'm going on. I'm in 90% of the scenes, you know what I mean, and it's easier in my opinion, even though there might be a lot more work to get it ready.
Yeah, yeah,
You're in and you're going and you're going.
yeah. I mean, uh, it's shameful to say it, really, but when you're young and stupid, uh,
Yes.
you kind of aren't fearful of anything. So if you are going to come back on, in an hour's time after you've done your first scene, you come back on and you've got to be 100% on it. You can still do it while dropping a cigarette.
Yes. Yes. Well,
So nonchalant nowadays, it's not really bad. Nowadays, the fear factor is so intense. I'm not even sure I can walk on for the first stage, Jeffrey.
you know what though? I think I'm still dumb. I got older, but I didn't get, because like for me, I don't know. I think you're right in that, for sure, where you're like, I'm too inexperienced uh to know that I shouldn't be leaving. But I'd grown up with the stories, you know what I mean? Like true Hollywood stories of these guys
Yeah,
who would, walk out and, have a few pops in between, and they were just playing, not getting drunk. Now, there
yeah.
was always the Richard Harris and the O'Tooles, and oh my gosh, who played Quint?
But there's Burton, of course.
Yeah.
Burton.
So these guys would leave at intermission, or if they were not on for 10 minutes, they'd go over to the bar and have a pop over. I was like, that's amazing to me.
Yeah, yeah. And how they managed to survive, how their livers managed to survive. Well, they didn't, did they really?
Well, I
But
mean, but they still did. I mean, O'Toole, it, I feel like he and I guess the only person who has outrun any of that is Keith Richards. You know what I mean? Like those lifestyles that they lived.
I
Oh,
think he's teetotal now. Anyway, I think it's
yeah,
more. I think it's the bandana gives too much. It's selling too much. It's trying too hard. The bandana,
yeah.
he's teetotal and probably takes Horlicks to bed. You know,
All right, so you graduate.
yeah.
How do you get work from that point?
Then you start auditioning, and I didn't get an agent. I was at the showcase. There's a showcase at the end of it, and of course,
Yep,
all the handsome young men and the beautiful young women get snapped up like that.
immediately.
I didn't know I was a character actor. I didn't know who I was
Yeah.
at the end of it all. And I just did what I did from then on in for a good many years. I would write to all these theatres around the country, all the regional theatres, and I would ask if there's any part that I could possibly play that they'd like to see me for. And of course, early days, that you're young, you're spunky, you're kind of they're interested in seeing the people that just come out of drama school, and you got some auditions that way. So I didn't need an agent.
Uh-huh.
So and I managed to get a job in the first month of leaving, which was great
Wow.
because I felt there was a huge urgency to sort of get away from the pack behind me, the kids that will be leaving the next semester.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You,
Oh yeah. Because it never stops.
the idea was to try and get some momentum going, so you kind of don't so you're ahead of the game. And I was chasing for 30 years. I was running for 30 years, trying to get away from the pack, as it were.
Yeah. 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 It's amazing. Now, did you you have a lot of like friends in the from school? Did you hang out with actors? Is that like
Yeah, I love hanging out with actors, and my closest friends. That's not strictly true. My closest friends aren't in the showbiz in a direct sort of a way.
yeah.
One of my friends is a mechanic.
Yeah.
Another friend actually is tangentially involved in the showbiz because he owns the biggest property warehouse in Europe, I believe.
Wow.
Super hire. He owns super hire, and he was at school with me, and we were
Wow.
just two couple of immigrant boys. He from Indian stock, me from Cyprus, and we kind of have been friends ever since. And every Sunday when I go back to London, every Sunday we walk together around Hampstead Heath and just get our exercise done. And we talk about showbiz. It's the only sort of, and it's really weird because he was never a showbiz guy. He was an accountant, and he went into
That's
this
what
field.
you were supposed to be.
That was my job. I said, you got my job. I probably got yours. So yeah, and he now runs this huge organization, which it's enormous, super high. It's got how many levels and furniture from every period is
Wow.
amazing. Yeah,
I love to me those are the coolest, like, because I don't know how you approach it or look at it, but I'm always pulling um from experiences of others. Just perspective wise, like understanding. That's why, hearing, you coming as an immigrant to England into this, especially at a time when you're fighting your home country's fighting for independence is
yeah,
fascinating to me because that's, you know, with the colonizers of it all, like the such a bad word. But the idea of it is so fascinating to me because, when I meet you, I'm not sitting there hearing about how droll or tough life was when you were young and you had to overcome it. You just did. You know what I mean? Like we have that youth of energy that just spills into we're just gonna and
yeah, yeah, yeah.
everything else be damned kind of thing. It's fascinating. And then so, do you ever relocate to America, New York, LA? I assume would be the most logical.
Well, that was. I mean, went as far as I could. I thought in London,
Yeah.
England, and it was only because friends of mine, not friends of mine, there were people I was working with. They were nice people. They was talking about doing the what's it called, the pilot season here in
Oh yeah.
the States. Anything about it? I'd heard about it a little
Yeah.
bit. Wasn't sure about it. Didn't know what it would mean. But I thought, well, if they're going, maybe I should go.
Yeah.
And my son at the time said to me, well, what else are you going to do, Dad? You might as well. He was at university, he was at college doing film studies and things like that. He doesn't do that anymore. But he was kind of, he said, well, if you don't do that for yourself now, you never will. So just rent the house out and do it. And that's exactly what I did. I rented my house out and came to America 15, 16 years ago for what was going to be a 1 year stay.
Yeah.
I decided it was going to be 1 year. If I can get an episode of something,
Yeah.
I've been part of the history of Hollywood, and that would be fine. That would be fine for me. It generally was. Then I'd go back to London and go and do some more theatre or whatever. But yeah, things didn't quite work out.
Oh.
Well, I'm still here.
Oh. I was like, wait. So you went back? No. So you came and you worked. All right. Now, pilot season for all those who have no idea what that means, because now it's obliterated. There is no such thing. But we used to have 2 times a year, really 1 time a year, which was like January. in February, where all the new shows would be presented. We'd shoot a pilot, which is the original show to tell the story, and then they'd present it, and then people would say, "Oh, I want that. I want that." Uh, whereas now, I don't know when. I mean, they never stop shooting anything. Like it's just
No. Well,
constant.
let's start really now.
Yeah, right, right. Well, definitely here in LA, we don't. Um, so, what was your when you thought, oh, okay, this is gonna, and I don't mean in theater, I mean when you were here, was it an accumulation of raindrops, or did you have a moment where it just poured down and you thought, oh,
It,
I
it,
I'm a televisioner, Phil, I can work in front of the camera.
yeah, it poured down really. I was very lucky, very lucky. I was a new face on the block. It seemed that a lot of people were interested in seeing me. I had April Webster
Yeah,
seemed to champion me a little bit for the show that sort of got me going was a show called Alcatraz,
yeah,
and I
I
was
remember.
up to play the warden of Alcatraz.
Yep.
Uh, Edwin, I can't remember his name now, Edwin James, and and I think she liked me, April, and I think she championed me, or at least very sold me very well. And
Yeah.
when somebody on your side who can sell you well to the producers will say yay or nay, but they'll be encouraged by somebody of April's
Pedigree.
and I think I had an easy start. I had a head start on that, and it was great. And I got to do a lot of TV very, very, very quickly. I mean, more TV than I'd ever done in my entire life,
Yeah.
sort of in one season, half a season, which was great for me. Really good experience. Got me to know how to work in front of the camera properly.
Yeah.
And I had dear old, dearly departed Sam Neill, he was, God bless him, who guided me. Kind of, I think he saw in me, he saw a little scared little cat in
Yeah.
front. It just went, here, come here. And he just whispered in my ear, just do it like this. Don't be worried about it. Just do it
Yeah.
like this. And I thought, thank you. 'Cause I didn't know how to do it. I didn't know how you put together, because like I said, very little TV work.
Yeah.
I didn't know how you put together a character for TV that may last 7 years.
Yeah. Like, how do
You
you
know,
create an arc for him, and how do you give him depth? It's
yeah,
like that. That was Carl for me. That's so funny. You invariably on a set somebody who has you know weathered it all.
yeah,
Finds is willing to give you a true person. There are those weirdos, but then there's the really good ones, and that's what Sam Neill. What a great oh, what a
what a
great mentor to be like, hey, let's go. Here you
yeah,
go. You can do this. And it is that, isn't it? Like for me, it was here's a couple, things you can pull out of your toolbox, but it was more, hey, you can do this.
yeah,
That was kind of like the ending sentiment, and you go, oh yeah, okay. And he's like, it's not math, it's not you're not solving the nuclear, power issue. You are literally you're a human. Go be human, find his human traits. And what a cool thing, right? Like, I don't know if that's your experience.
yeah, totally. I mean, he basically said to me that the secret sauce that he gave me was basically says, if I was you, Johnny, he said, I just play it like I was fucking with everybody. And I just thought, of course, that's
Yes.
great because the lines were very fruity lines.
Yeah.
I mean, Liz. I'm going to be to embarrass myself now. The showrunner of the show, she kind of really liked my stuff and decided that she was going to write a lot of the scenes that I was in herself. She liked
Yeah.
that, and
Yeah.
she wrote some very fruity lines. You remember Tombstone, the TV show?
Oh yeah.
She'd just come off that, and my lines were very much Tombstone like.
Yeah.
You completely devoid of apart from the fact that we were in the 60s.
Yeah.
There, my character was in the 60s. There I was, that I was doing sort of like language that was a little bit sort of in the past. And as season two was going to show, was that I was indeed from even further past. I was from the revolutionary age, I believe.
Oh wow.
That was the story. The Alcatraz was a portal to Liz Sarnoff. Sorry,
That's
Liz. I'm so sorry, Liz. Please don't hate me. I love that woman. But the Alcatraz was a time portal, so
yeah.
and I was further back than that, you know.
That is that's right. But now, okay. Now, and as you know, generally probably accepted mostly when people hire you, they think English.
Yeah, yeah,
So, as a American actor here, especially, I remember when I really thought about it. I think Colin Farrell. I was bartending at a place called Lobster in Santa Monica, and Colin Farrell had just done Tigerland, and he was in the bar, and he was reading. I think he was reading SWAT, which I ended up being on.
yeah.
Funny enough, but and I said to him, "Hey, your performance was exceptional. I really appreciated it. Bravo to you or whatever." And then he was talking, and I had no idea that he was, Irish.
I,
And so I
he's
thought to
very
myself,
charming. He's incredibly charming and very sweet. And he was really
absolutely, and a grounded guy. I know, he lived his life, but like he's really a grounded human.
very
You
handsome
could,
man who can get around, you know.
yeah, but we could walk up and be like, "Hey, did you see the Chelsea game?" And he'd be like, "Ah, blah blah blah." Like he wouldn't hesitate. He's never been highfalutin. But I thought to myself, and it was funny. I talked to my acting coach, who's a Russian, was from St. Petersburg at the time. He'd come out here, he was teaching me the Chekhov technique, which really worked for me because it wasn't about my cat dying when I was a kid. Like I didn't want to live in the past. I wanted to use my imagination in the moment, kind of thing. And everyone at that time, when I was working very much with this, like, tell me what your dad did. And I'm like, this isn't a therapy. I really want to imagine what's going on. And anyway, so I remember thinking, oh God, what kind? I just sound like an American. And my acting coach said, do an Irish accent from now on. Every time you walk in there, and then when you do your part, do it like an American. And so I tried it. So I put on an Irish accent, and I tried it. There was one audition. My Irish accent was so bad. I'm positive they thought, oh, this poor guy has brain damage. I didn't know we were looking for that. Like it was so. I mean, and then I tried to do my normal, born and raised accent, and that was getting. It was. I was like, I'll never do that again.
You're pretending you are not naturally American to walk
Exactly. When I
into,
walk in.
well,
Yes. And what accent do I choose? Irish?
that was Irish.
Yeah. They were like, maybe I was Scottish because they couldn't understand anything I was saying. So that might have been okay if I had said Scott. But I was like, and they're like, I know. I later on went back in and I did not try that. And they were like, after it was all done, they go, thank you. And I
It's
was like, oh, great. They're like, no, thank you for not doing an accent. And I
yeah.
was like, so embarrassed.
It's really hard. Those guys who can just drop it and pick it up, I don't know. They're amazing. I can't. I have to study it, and even then, I can hear the Englishman, the flat A's, and certain. I'm like, geez, that's really not good. And I just live in the hope that people, sort of ignore those little bits and get the general part of it.
But I find it such a, and maybe you don't agree. I'm curious. I find that in general, people go, "Oh, English. Oh, must be a good, well-trained actor." You know what I mean? Like there's a certain amount of cachet or respect or foundational understanding versus, here your waiter's an actor, and it's so pejorative in so many ways. Like, look, I bartended 22 years. I bartended through the first 2 seasons of Mando. I never gave up my job. Like, I didn't trust Hollywood. I had done Cowboys and Aliens in 2010 and thought I'd hired a publicist. We'd done a bunch of, and then my part just, I think the more press I did, the less my part got. And by the time the movie premiered, John, I see him at the premiere, and Favreau goes, "Hey, thank you so much for promoting my movie, and um, your part's not as big as it was." I'm like, what? It's all right, whatever. It's great. But I thought, oh, I'm gonna be a big star now. And boy, because I had signed, for 2 and 3, they had preemptively signed me for Cowboys and
Really?
Aliens. So I was like, we're going to do more. Well, we didn't. And so, but there was times where it's like my mom would be sitting there at a restaurant, and her father's John Wayne, and so she's allowed to be funny and snarky. And she was like, maybe this waiter can act like a waiter for us and get our stuff done because you're clearly not doing a good job. And so I grew up with kind of that thing. But if it was an English person and they said they were an actor, there was a trust and faith that because the school system allows for, that kind of proper training. And I mean real training. Like I couldn't be more grateful to my mother.
It's full time.
Yeah.
It's not a class here and there. It is, you do it out in my school. It was a peculiar 7 semesters.
Yeah.
Wait, to the first, third, fifth, and seventh. Yes, it was 7 semesters, and that was it. The principal didn't think you needed any more than that. 2 years and a bit of in-house training of every conceivable kind of theatre genre you can possibly think. We did restoration. We did the Russian classics.
What about singing?
Singing. It's semester 6.
What was your singing?
What
did you sing? Do you know? Can you remember?
We sang every season, every term. We had we had singing classes right through. And every term we had to perform our songs to people.
So did you like my singing teacher at the academy, he did say, "Hey, you're going to be a great director," which I didn't take as a positive thing, but I had To Dream the Impossible Dream.
All right.
And Shenandoah, Next to Lovin' I Like Fighting Best, which obviously with the cowboy, I really dug into that one. The Dream the Impossible Dream was the thing that unlocked something in me, though, because it was so impossible.
Yeah.
And then I think I did it well twice. And it was the right before the final and the final. And I remember somebody came up to me in my class, not my teacher or anything, whatever. But he goes, "You just showed me what powerful singing well done can do." And I was like, but I remember those songs. Did you have a song that you felt like, oh, this is challenging? This is crazy.
My Daryl, my singing teacher, right through the time there, said, "You got a great voice, Johnny. You got a great voice, but you don't know when to come in." And so, I don't know the beats. Yes. So he was there when we were performing. He'd have his hand in his lapel like that, so that he couldn't be seen from everybody, and he'd kind of conduct me, and he would be like, "And go," it'd be like that, and so that's not just for the beginning, but through every phrase, because it's like I couldn't hear. It's like I couldn't want to come in, especially when you're rehearsing with some guy with their way of playing the piano, and then you're actually performing with some other person who has a different deft touch to the piano. So you can't quite hear the beat that you're supposed to come in. And he would just sit there, just give me a little sort of conduct. He was great. But the song I loved doing was a song called "Just the Way You Are."
Oh,
oh lovely, never change. That's that one. And a song which I had to learn by rote because it's the only way to do it. And it's a Danny Kaye song, and it's one of those songs where it's a mouth curling sort of yeah, dexterity needing thing, and it was Tchaikovsky and all the other Russians.
Oh wow! I
Ali Rubinstein, Arensky, and Tchaikovsky, Sapernikov, Dmitriev, Cheretnik, Wagner, Tchaikovsky, Archipov, Moniesko, Akemenko, Soloviev, Prokofiev, Tiomkin, Gorishchenko. I can do the whole
Are
thing.
you kidding me? You gave me goosebumps.
I could do it because I had to learn it in such a way. There was no forgetting it.
I mean,
There's,
right, right. I mean, once you learn something like that,
yeah,
but it's 10,000 consonants and two vowels.
yeah, exactly.
So it's not like you can hang on a consonant. So like you're already gonna back here in your throat. Like, oh my god,
Yeah, yeah,
that's
yeah,
amazing. That's fantastic. All
yeah,
right, so we have all this background.
yeah. Right.
Did you do fencing? Did they do fencing and stuff?
Fencing, did fencing. I did a we did fencing and we did dance and we did ballet and we did all sorts.
I think, because I thought, I don't know if they did what we did, but we just stole. The American Academy of Dramatic Arts just stole whatever you guys were doing because it was a 2 year, and we were there, and they were like, you cannot go get a job while you're doing this. You're not a professional. We want you to really learn this thing. It was a 2 year, and then I think the third year, if you wanted, you could join the repertory if they accepted you. I had no desire, but like the 2 years. But the more I'm hearing this, the more a very a similar version of what you did. That's fascinating,
Yeah.
interesting. All right, so
And then we had to perform. There was a prize fight night, and you had to sort of put on a couple of fights,
oh
and
yeah,
with swords or whatever, or punchy bags or punching each other, or whatever. But it had to be a
stage combat.
convincing stage combat, and I contrived. We did something from Lord of the Rings, Gorbag and some I can't remember Gorbag and Conrad's name, but I said I really want to cut your head off in this. And he said, how are you going to do that? I said, I'm not going to cut his head off. And what I contrived was that I would beat him, obviously, straddle him, put my knees on either side of his head, take my sword, and just go from, the audience is behind me there,
Yeah,
crack like that. And then, and then reach under. I'd reach under his head
yeah.
and just go
Oh yes,
with my mouth. We'd put a reverb on the sound system, so the whole
crack.
went through all over the whole, and the whole audience went, "Ah!"
Yes, that's
Really good,
fantastic.
really good. And then to take his head off, he basically had a skull cap, with his wig on it, and I just sort of peeled it off and just
No,
put his head off like that, and then we went into black.
this is elaborate. This is unbelievable.
I was so proud of it. I was so proud of it.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
that's so great. So you do Alcatraz. What did you do on Once Upon a Time?
Once upon a time, what did I do? Once upon a time, I played Dr. Lydgate, who was the once upon a time in Wonderland, which is where I first played the part.
Oh
Uh,
yeah,
he's the guy who interviews um, Alice in Wonderland. Alice,
yeah,
the guy he's Alice is a sort of a damaged young woman in this.
yeah,
So she's got this whole sort of history of thing, and it's a sort of an asylum, a home for the ill.
yeah.
Uh, he's the doctor who's trying to sort of find out what she's like, and that was the audition. What I did in the movie, in the TV show, was the audition, and it went straight to it was going to go straight to a season anyway, because they decided that the pilot was only going to be 20 minutes long. And since me interviewing Alice was the greater part of that thing, I was basically the pilot of
Oh
the show
wow.
interviewing. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And there was a little bit of talk of me becoming a regular in that. I just thought, I don't think so somehow, because this is definitely aimed at
At
Alice.
her. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And she was Sophie was a wonderful Alice. Sophie Lowe, I think it was, and she, yeah, it did again. It was another one of those half-season shows. Really, it's a shame.
All right. So what about growing up? Are you going to theater as a kid? or is it? Or are
I
you
did.
going to movies? Like here, we went to movies all the time. There was
Yeah,
very little theater we went to.
did lots of theatre, movie going, but theatre really, really, I try to love it. I try to love watching it, and you know, and I wanted to, but I just loved doing it. Didn't
Yeah,
really like watching it. It was, you know, for me, it's not a medium that I like.
yeah,
I like the close ups. I
yeah,
like close to people. I found that I've always enjoyed theatre when I'm in the first two rows. You
yeah,
love it there. Well, of course you're going to love it. It's the best seats in the house. You see everybody's eyes and everything. Whereas the seats that I could afford were right at the back,
yeah,
it's a little postage stamp that we're watching. It's a little
yeah.
on the stage of one of those grand theatres in London's West End, and you're like, right up there in the gods, and you can't enjoy it.
No, my mom took me to uh, 42nd Street when I was in London in 1986. Uh, what a amazing! That was the first thing I'd seen.
Right.
Um, I had no desire to go be a part of it. They were singing and dancing, and I thought that's what a terrifying, very less than masculine thing to do. That was my thought process. I was, 15, so what do I know? 16 years old. Uh, Also, I was the idiot who was on the pitch at original Wembley
Yeah.
while I was there. I mean, I'm on the pitch. I have no idea how.
How did you get on the pitch?
I, so the American football team, the Rams and the Denver Broncos, played their first football game in London at Wembley,
That's
and
right.
I, I had my uncle Andy was the lawyer for the Rams, so my mom thought it'd be a great opportunity to take her younger sons, my brother Dave and I, to London, so we could, you know, we took a car and I got to see castles and sing teams. I mean, it was amazing. It was great, But she knew that it was going to be easier to take us. Specifically, me, my brother's a little bit more erudite and intelligent from a young age. I was more visceral. Um, she knew it was going to be easier to take me if she thought I was with an American football team,
Yeah.
and then I could go see the castles and everything, and which turned out to be one of the greatest trips of my life. But I had no love for, as I call it now, football. So I had no idea about Man U. I had no
Yeah.
idea about eventually my true love, which is my Arsenal and my Gunners. Um, and what but like, oh, what a lovely thing. So I got to go out there and be a part of this thing and see 42nd Street as well. Um, and I think that was, I mean, I know when I watched my Rockies, my Star Wars, it was not New Hope when I saw it.
Yeah.
Empire Strikes Back, Indiana Jones, E.T., all those movies that kind of propelled me to be Chariots of Fire. I don't think people talk about this movie enough.
So,
It's it's one of the lost classics, in my opinion. How fast are you gonna run? As fast as they live. Oh, I mean, like I
that's right. It's wonderful. Yeah.
such an amazing, and it really did. Um, we talk about plays, film has a much, whether it's TV or on the big screen, has this far-reaching kind of ability, more so than news, more so than anything which we see in social media now, but to really change people. And for me, Chariots of Fire told me I had no limits,
Yeah.
like nothing else had ever told me. And it struck, like, it just was like a big, deep bass chord just rang in me. And I was like, I mean, I started with track and then basketball, and then I played all sports in high school: football, basketball, baseball, track. I was a wonderful hurdler, uh, and I used to think about that movie all the time. And him running, and oh God, I loved it. Oh my God,
It's what's lovely about it is the sort of the amateur quality of the runners.
yes,
They were enthusiasts. They were runners. They were there for their country, but not in any kind of. They were
professional way.
sort of get there. I mean, I know that the Ben Cross's character was there to prove that as a Jew he could still be
Yeah.
considered. I think they just won for both him and Ian Charleston in that are just wonderful. I mean, Ian
Yes.
Charleston, just gorgeous sort of delivery as a little Scottish sort of guy who goes on to sort of be what's it called, missionary
Yeah.
in his whole life. But he had this incredible talent to run. It's a beautiful story, really. It's a
Yeah.
great story. Yeah.
Well, and it talks about, I think what a wonderful thing is that it talks about, you have these things that you are talented at and that you can be great at. And then you also have a bigger thing to serve, and you think of those like Arthur Miller moments in All My Sons. And is it All My Sons?
Probably.
Yeah, where he's talking about the monolith and he went over to fight the war and he's finding out that his father's a profiteer.
Yeah.
But it is this, you have this greater capacity. And it was funny. It was when I was young, but I still started to understand, oh, this is kind of, my grandfather had this through acting, where you're able to affect something beyond the story you told in the movie.
Yeah.
And he was very responsible to those who provided for him and his family, which is his fans. So it's fascinating. So now you're working as a regular actor.
Yeah.
And right before you come and it's funny, I didn't realize that you'd already done season 3 till you were talking about it on set, because you were in the council, the Shadow Council.
Shadow Council, yes. Yeah, so that's it, really. There's 3 lines.
Previous to that, what had you done? What had you just worked on? Not what had you done, but like, had you been working a lot?
If you remember, it was actually the tail end of COVID, so it had been a bit lean. It had been a bit lean for that period. But what I'd done, I think the last significant thing before that was the Blacklist, which I 11 episodes. Yeah. So I got a lot of notoriety for that one, and sort of got my profile on that went way more than it ever did for Alcatraz. So because Blacklist was an ongoing show, it was successful. People were watching it and loving it.
Spader was huge.
Spader was fantastic. He was really nice to me. He was really kind and time. And you see the power of star power, that when somebody's the producer and the star of the show, how everybody steps back to let him have a conversation with this minion.
Coming in. It is fascinating, right?
It to me, it really does. And he wanted to know a little bit about me, but it was happened to be just before we could do a take. But nobody can interrupt James Spader. Say
that's amazing.
And it's amazing. And I don't think he was abusing it. He was just chatting to me, Yeah.
Whereas if it was, a guest star and a guest star talking, they'd be like, "Get in here, let's go."
Yeah, exactly.
Because they got to hit their schedule. Nothing wrong with it, but it is that idea of, I think about what I think about John Ford, right?
Yeah.
And I think about my grandfather and John Ford, what they would call the stock company. These guys would play chess in between takes. They were having these, dynamic moments, and Ford would always come in under budget and early. It was amazing. These movies that were epic, but he understood how he was going to do it and make it all work before he walked in on set.
And he was editing it in his head anyway, so he only shot what he needed to shoot.
Yeah, it was funny. There's a few of these, but like, I think it was Claire Trevor and my grandfather, and he's like, we really want to work on this. We got a few pages here. We want to work on this scene. I got this big dialogue. I want to really, impress her in this moment, this whole thing. And Ford goes, "Oh, okay." And it was the next day, so he goes, we're gonna work on this. Next day, my grandfather comes to set and looks around. He's like, "I thought we were shooting," and he goes, "Oh no, I threw away those pages. We're gonna get it, and I'll just capture you two standing together, and it'll tell the same story without you talking." This is a guy he was like, "No,
He understood the power of stars. Claire Trevor was so gorgeous, next to
Yes.
gorgeous grandfather, that'll tell a story.
Yes. And that was his thing. And it was funny because I remember being young as an actor, and my mom would give me advice, and she'd be like, "Don't do too much, please." I'd be like, "Okay, I got to get this guy though, because he's not me." And she's like, "Please don't do too much." And my old, one of my old acting coaches, Harvey Solon, he would say, "Keep it simple, stupid." And it was like, in a loving way, never mean. And that was the essence of it all was,
Yeah.
and it culminates in Mando, and I stepping in and trusting yourself, that standing in a doorway, I'm like, I'm not 6'5", I'm not my grandfather. I can't
You
just pull that
look,
off.
you look diminutive next to the thing you posted the other day with what's his face? Yeah, I can't remember. That Zebo. He's huge.
Zeb.
Zeb. That's
Yes.
Zeb. Extraordinary how big he. It didn't seem to be that big. I
Yeah.
must look like a midget next to him.
Well, how about Matthew? Willig? How about Hog's Breath?
I know. Yeah,
I
yeah.
literally was like, please don't stand up, Matt, when you're talking to me. It's terrifying. Your hand's bigger than my head. This is terrible. But so when John's like, no, it's gonna be great, and it's about trusting those directors in whatever we're doing, that they understand the medium better than my ego does. And it's that picture you capture in a picture, the silhouette of Mando in the doorway. And all of a sudden I was like, oh, and I remember Carl Weathers saying to me, "That's enough." And I was like, well, he goes, "Just be there. Everything else is there. Everyone's doing their job, so you can just be." And wow, what a freeing moment that was as an actor, to really kind of find out that, oh, you're enough. It's okay.
Yeah.
And other times you never think about it, but I'm like, I've never been a lead, not number one in the walking in and running a character for the first time ever seen in any universe, let alone Star Wars. That type. He is a archetype that we've seen, mythological, right?
Mm-hmm.
But no one had ever been Mando. Everyone. I played lawyers, I played FBI guys, CIA. There's been a million people who've played all those. So you kind of have a landing spot where you're okay. You have a general area. With Mando, you had to land somewhere. With Lord Janu, you have to land somewhere. You don't get to just, I'm just going to be a villain. And so when you make your choice, what do you do?
I mean, you just listen to Jon Favreau tell you what to do, really. You just let Jon Favreau guide you, because, nobody knows the stuff more than he does.
No.
And, we know those of us who say they're Star Wars fans, but really we're just Star Wars enthusiasts.
Yes. Oh my God, that's a good way to put it. Yes.
Yeah, and we went and enjoyed the films, and we go rah rah, great, fantastic, but we can't really be the nerdy fan thing that knows exactly what's going on in this world and knows the
And you can't do this, you can do that.
Yeah, and so you just have to sort of be guided by him, and you have to sort of accept that he's employed you because he sees something in you. Now, what they invariably see in me is a villain.
Understood. I understand.
Invariably, they go, "Yeah, he's a bad guy." Yeah, so can you just come in and be a bad guy? And I know it sounds a bit flippant and all that, but I know how to be a bad guy.
Yeah.
I know,
but
I wish there was a situation where there was more language, more bigger scenes, if you like, more intricate scenes where I would need to know what I had for breakfast.
Yeah. But so you're not being a prototypical bad guy though, and you're not, because there aren't monologues of I'm going to skewer you and throw the salt in you and whatever. You didn't. You played him. I felt like I was with somebody who was very cunning, I felt somebody who was self assured, but
Yeah,
at the same time there was a joie de vivre, like
yeah. I
about
mean,
him,
look,
which is not every most villains don't generally
no.
aren't able to have those layers on it. Is that an accumulation of your confidence, technique, and experience within the villain realm that allows you to give those that many layers in such a little, like moment?
I think John gave me the room to do that. It gave me room to be more than just a sort of a, you know, that
Yeah.
kind of villain. Which I can do
By the way,
very.
everybody, he's twisting his mustache. He's not wiping his nose.
Um, um, but there's a part of me that's going, well, how can I? There's a part of me that likes to sort of, and because Star Wars is not, it's not to be taken. It's a serious thing, but it's not to be taken totally seriously.
No,
It's
correct.
it's it's entertainment. So there's a part of me that's going, yeah, but I can't be black. I can be dark, but I
Yeah.
can't be. It can't be an empty vessel.
Yeah.
Um, so there's a part of me that always looks for the humor,
Yeah.
and I don't mean comedy, but I mean literally humor. Like maybe he has something in his eye that's sort of like the cells that don't quite. This Mandalorian guy, he's a bit. Yeah, I can play with him a little bit,
Yeah.
and then just so there's that sort of helps. So you're but but John at one point says to me, "Listen, we've got that one, we've got that character. Can we do a serious one now?"
Yes. But we end up with the other character, not the serious one.
Well, I don't know. I mean,
I
what I
do.
saw was a lot of the serious stuff. There was enough. There must have been enough of me playing that sort of like the humorous, the humorly part. There must have been enough there in the layers for me. So when I played it seriously, it just came naturally, and there was something going on.
Yeah.
So I mean, I can't say that. It was layers of thought that more like layers of delivery.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
There was it's funny you say about, oh well, I know how to play a villain, so it's easy for them to see that. Um, this was, I know how to play a cowboy, so
yeah,
it was
exactly.
easy for them to see that, and I didn't, even when you don't see it necessarily, you're like, I've been passed over for 500 cowboys. Why, but this one just sat right. The science fiction, the mythology. I mean, everything I do is based mythologically. I think of, who does this relate to? Is this, you know,
Do you find yourself actually channeling John Wayne?
not into, because I'd spent 40 some odd years of my life fighting this idea, because I, you know, I was always going to be my own man. My mom was very clear about it. You're not him. He make your name. You'll never be his name. And it was a good thing, because I know people in my circle of family who definitely want to run with that banner in front of them, be like, his grandson, whatever it is, his son or daughter. Like I was always taught really well by my mother that every man needs to make his own name, and you have to find your path, even if it's in the same, genre. You have to find your own path. So I don't think of it that way. But what I find is there are some things in film and television that are just true, and that if you have a good, DP, and you have a great lighting, and you have great grips, and you have a director with vision, and you have, great writers, Filoni and Favreau sitting there, and uh, they write a scene that doesn't have any dialogue, and I think to myself, oh my God, I got to do things. And they're like, no, you got to do less. And then you have these things, and then now I can go look and see moments of my grandfather, like standing in a doorway in Searchers and walking off. And I go, oh,
Love
they
that.
slowed me down. I had to slow down because I'm in this suit and I look jangly otherwise. I look like Woody from Toy Story.
Yeah.
And then, so they're like, slow down. And all of a sudden you realize these are just film truths, and then the rest is just DNA, like just genetics, like tight hips or whatever, and the
Yeah.
swishy walk that we find to be a swagger when I'm doing it or he's doing it. Um,
I told you that when I'm being in the handcuffs and I'm walking, those endless walks that we did. I don't know how much of this is going to make the actual final cuts, but there's me walking, and I swear to God, because I don't like my walk, and I hear that John Wayne didn't like his walk.
no,
I apparently he developed his walk, and
yeah.
I thought, I hate my walk. It's very short. It's a little bit like a penguin. It's just rubbish. You know, so I kind of contrived to bring my toes in
Yeah,
and have a little bit of a swing on it, just like John Wayne.
that's
I have a little bit of thing, and it just made me. It probably doesn't show. I still look like a penguin, but I think there's a little bit enough there for me to sort of feel like at least I'm not. I feel like the guy has a sort of presence, whereas in my natural walk, I watch myself sometimes, and I just think, geez, why aren't they just telling me to walk back and start again? You know, ridiculous.
yes. Those are my favorite moments. So where you're like, that was terrible. Should I do that again? They're like, no, we really liked it. And then you go look at it, and they're like, what do you see? And I'm like, I'm not telling you anything now. I'll just keep that in my journal, and I'll give it out at therapy when I see my doctor or whatever.
And when you go and see a take, and 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 I can't remember who the guy was there. I can't remember my name. My memory's really rubbish. But I was watching this take, and it was just the scene where you come and arrest me, and how you can we can do it easier or the hard way. You
Yeah.
can, and and I watched the take of me turning around, and I just went, oh, Uncle Fester in space is what I look.
No, you didn't.
I did. And I'm thinking I'm looking really kind of scary, kind of serious fucking actor,
Yeah.
and I'm just Uncle Fester,
Oh my God. Oh, that now I'll never unsee that. I cannot wait. Oh my God. Oh my God. Wow. 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 This is why, by the way, like I don't go back and watch
It's probably best.
because
Yeah,
I'll just, like, they're like, come to Video Village. Let's look at this tape. I'm like, how about this? You just tell me what it is that you need me not to do. Because if I watch myself,
yeah,
then I'm going to think about watching myself while I'm doing it and
yeah.
I'm not present. And like I'm an actor, like I have to, do this in such a way. It's fascinating though, those moments. Gosh.
Yeah.
Oh, I, when I began acting, Joss Whedon gave me my first SAG gig. And I got called into directors and producers immediately. I had no idea how this really worked, like this business. I was not. I was raised in the practical business, not in the how do you get into the business part.
Yeah,
So I grew up on sets and things like that. That was familiar. Stuntmen, grit, all those guys. Like the people you want to hear the stories from because they're the funniest. Like I'm used to those things on set, and so I'm my wife submitted me, God bless her, blindly back when you could like send your pictures in for roles and people would get the breakdowns and then you'd send it in. Anyways, I have no agent. She sends it to me. I'm not part of SAG, and they're looking for a genius. It was a doctor and who's building a time machine. And that I'm in Happy Anniversary in Angel. But I remember looking at the dialogue, and you were talking about being a young actor who doesn't know any better. I had no idea that this was ridiculous, that I was going to be a doctor or a genius, and that I was going to have to say all these things about how to stop the space-time continuum, and these demons were going to come in. And so it just went in and did it, and he hired me, and they Taft-Hartley'd me in order to get in the union, and Amy Britt was the casting, and it was incredible. I went and did it, and then I remember my acting coach goes, "That'll never happen again." And I was like, "I'm going to work all the time." And he's like, "No. you had you had nothing stopping you. You had no boundaries on yourself. And I was like, yeah. He said, have you thought about it yet? And I was like, yeah, it's pretty crazy. And he goes, now when you get a new rule, try to keep that same mindset. And I couldn't from then on because then I had to put something on it. But this one moment to begin my career is like, you chase that high forever. It's like, oh, I got to go get this thing. And Mando was the next, like, I mean, I had other stepping stones to Mando, but when all of a sudden you're like, hey, I'm on Star Wars.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a new show. This is
Yeah.
crazy, and what an incredible thing. Now, when you step on that set and you're working in the practical part, not season 3, but you're working on the movie.
Yeah.
Um, what do you look for when you walk onto a set, whether it's that big, we're in Manhattan Beach or whatever, or you're on Tomb Raider? Like, what do you look for in the? Because we try to find comfort, or no, and you're just
Yeah.
looking for.
Uh, I just, I mean, luckily for me, I didn't have any lines the first day. And I mean, he kind of left that scene with all the lines and everything as well until much later, which was thankful to me. Gave me lots of time to get comfortable on the set. And that first day, well, I'm very conscious of my costume. I have a sort of whole sort of like body dysmorphia in some sort of way, in a very mild sort of form of that thing. Like, was checking myself out, feeling like I don't feel quite right in something, and and so there's a lot of that that's going on. And I know that Jon Favreau's on my side.
Yeah,
That's the one thing that I have in the bag. Jon Favreau's on my side because he needs you to be. He needs to be on your side because
yeah,
he's hired you. But at the
yeah,
same time, he has faith in you because he's seen something in you.
sure.
So I know that Jon Favreau's on my side, and so what am I looking for? I don't know. I kind of just not to mess up, not to make a fool of myself. It's as simple as that for me. It's like just get through this day without messing up,
Yeah,
and maybe you'll get to the next day and you won't mess up tomorrow either. You know.
yeah. Now you're walking onto a set that's been together for at this point 7 years.
Mm.
Do you feel it?
No, definitely that everybody's very comfortable with each other,
Yeah,
and but you're all very welcoming. It was a
good.
very welcoming set.
Yeah,
Everybody's very happy to see you. I mean, they don't know shit about you, some of them. They don't know who the hell you are and why John's hired you. But and there's that sort of element like, I'll deliver for a new Star Wars movie. I've got to deliver the villain in a new Star Wars movie. This so that, but I keep reminding myself, John's on your side.
yeah,
He's hired you for a reason. The lines aren't difficult. They're not difficult lines.
no,
You'll get them. You know what I mean? And just trust that they will get the right angles to make you look good and as threatening as possible. And there are really expert people in every field on that set that know their shit.
yeah, yeah. They're the
They
best.
really do.
Yeah. I mean, this was John's like Star Wars stock company. We'd all been working since day one, and I mean, day one we were trying to figure out, like they would spray pledge on the silver suit because otherwise it would mirror too much, so they'd have to cloud it up. They'd spray it on my head. Baz would come over and spray it on my head. Like it was like we were trying to figure out how we can light off this guy in these. So it is, and you
Because it
think,
looks much more shiny on screen than it does in real life. In real life, I thought, well, it looks so amazingly, sparkly and shiny, and like, and very metal,
yeah.
and in real life, it's just a whole lot of plasticky stuff,
Yeah, it is so funny. And then people are like, how heavy? And I know they're like, is it a knight's, armor? And I'm like, it's representative of it, but no,
Yeah.
it's 40 pounds. And then they add the kid, and that adds another 20. But what fascinating. What an amazing thing.
Yes.
Thank you for being on here. Hats and helmets with my good friend and an incredible Cypriot Englishman and now a little American. Maybe you can wash that off.